Good mythical morning, everyone. It's the one and only notorious, glorious V, the Guerrilla Economist, coming to you live. And we're going to go break down the news and all the information important to you. So check us out on RogueNews.com. Follow us on Twitter at RealRogueNews. Rogue News on every single podcasting app known to humanity. We are everywhere you want us to be, plus a bag of chips. Hold on one second, folks. Hold on. I just got to do something real quick. Hold on. Almost done. Hold on, folks. Okay. With that being said, folks, let's get into it. I guess we could also talk about Watchers Trade. Listen, here's the deal, guys. We have the crypto. We have the what the hell is it called? The crypto bull market rocket seminar going on tomorrow. That's going to be exciting. The crypto bull market rocket. So check that out over at watcherstrade.io. If you want to learn how to trade cryptocurrencies, this is the way to do it. Join watcherstrade.io, and get it done. Links in the description box. Sign up right there for the live trading event. Limited spots are available. So make sure you sign up. It's going to be awesome. Listen, the best way, it literally costs you $9 a day to come in and trade. Okay, come in and trade. $9 a day. So check it out. WatchTrade.io, and also check out mycbdedibles.com. mycbdedibles.com for all your CBD edibleness and all the deliciousness that you need. With that being said, folks, let's get into it. I don't know if any of you have seen Captain Schnarvel. Okay, Captain Schnarvel. Captain Feminist, Captain SJW. Okay, Captain SJW is the latest movie from the guys over at what's it called? Over at Marvel. And folks, we knew this for quite some time, that over the years that the CIA, the Defense Department, would spend hundreds of millions of dollars per year creating fake news, planting stories with such luminary news networks like the Criminal News Network or the Clown News Network, aka CNN, MSLSD, and the like. We know that they control media. We know that they like to keep this false left-right paradigm. And we know what the ultimate goal is: a communistic one-world government. The ultimate goal is total informational awareness, TIA, and full spectrum dominance. And that's been hit with a lot of roadblocks. That's been hit with a lot of monkey wrenches thrown in the way and whatnot. And that's where we are. So it is no surprise that the Pentagon helped make Captain Marvel a horribly reviewed movie. The mainstream critics that you see at, I don't know, the New York Slimes, the Washington Post, whatever the latest dish rag of ill repute is, the New York Magazine, whatever the hell it is, has given it stellar reviews as a triumph. Yes, as a triumph. Captain Marvel, first of all, is a B-listed, no-name character. It's been reinvented at least 5 times. The original Captain Marvel was a guy. And this is like at least the 5th iteration of Captain Marvel as a female. It is, there's a reason for this, right? And it's a case study, folks, in neocon war propaganda. The superhero blockbuster Captain Marvel is a perfect case study. How the United States military uses Hollywood to spread propaganda. The U.S. military is at the center of the plot of Captain Marvel, the film's protagonist. Carol Danvers is a former U.S. Air Force pilot who becomes a superhero after absorbing powers of an advanced technology created by another U.S. military scientist. That scientist happens to be a member of an advanced alien race known as the Kree, who for unexplained reasons decided to do groundbreaking military research for all of the myriad of places in the universe. Of all the places in the universe, it picks the US of A. Mm-hmm. As soon as the film opens, it bombards viewers with 2 hours of nonstop U.S. military propaganda. It's not even subtle. At the plot's climax, Captain Marvel changes the colors of her suit to match those of the American flag. The U.S. military is not the only story of Captain Marvel, as the gray zone details below. The Pentagon was deeply involved in the production of the film itself. The cast, the directors of Captain Schnarvel, worked closely with the U.S. military, relying on U.S. military officers and consultants and advisors, employing dozens of active duty U.S. soldiers as extras. Several scenes were shot on U.S. military bases, and since its release, the U.S. Department of Defense has promoted the film relentlessly on its website and social media accounts. Gee, why is that? Captain Schnarvel was marketed as a feminist blockbuster, a rare superhero movie featuring a female lead. As the woman-centered magazine Elle trumpeted, Captain Schnarvel is now the highest-grossing movie with a female lead ever. Please go watch Alita Battle Angel instead of this piece of crap. As is often the case in Hollywood, however, ostensibly progressive breakthroughs in cultural representation were seamlessly blended with U.S. militarist propaganda. Captain Schnarvel, played by Brie Larson, has two close allies. Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, a former CIA agent who finds himself directionless in life after successfully defeating communism in the Cold War. Maria Lambeau, Lashana Lynch, another fighter pilot in the U.S. military. And the three team up in a benevolent U.S. military-backed mission to try to save a race of misunderstood underdog refugee aliens known as the Skrulls, known as the Kree from Annihilation from the Skrulls, a belligerent galactic superpower. Marvel Studios and Walt Disney, who produced and distributed Captain Marvel, respectively had a similar marketing strategy with their 2018 opus Black Panther, which is also sold as a progressive anti-racist film with a majority black cast, which also happened to feature a sidekick, a white CIA agent who helped save the hero, T'Challa's reactionary absolute monarchy from a revolution led by an anti-imperialist internationalist villain Killmonger. Investigative journalists and academics have documented the intimate relationship between Hollywood, the military, and intelligence agency, relying on declassified FOIA documents. Researchers Tom Secker and Matthew Alford revealed the DoD, CIA, and NSA have influenced more than 1,800 movies and TV shows and had even prevented films deemed too critical of the Pentagon from being made. But this only happens in China, you know. It's government unfavorable things. They never allowed. That's a communist. That's a Chinese thing. Well, we do the same thing too, folks, and we're doing it a lot longer. This year's Captain Marvel is just the latest, most blatant example of U.S. military exploiting the film industry to generate support for its agenda. I mean, they do this over and over and over and over again. They rub it in our faces. It's the most dumbest thing in the world. It's ridiculous. The Pentagon revealed General Lab, the commander of the Air Force Recruiting Services and the U.S. Air Force's first female fighter pilot, also served as consultant for Captain Marvel's movie. General Lavette. DoD tweeted a video with Lavette boasting how she worked with the star of the movie to perfect her character. I wonder how much combat missions Lavette had flown. You see, folks, this is just a ginormous propaganda machine. I mean, think about it. You have the directors of Captain Schnarvel visiting the Pentagon. You have the U.S. Air Force on their website, folks, stating, higher, further, faster. Captain Marvel embodies the warrior ethos. And you have the entire showing, higher, faster, further. Captain Marvel. You have like entire screenings of Captain Marvel, all sorts of recruiting stuff for the Air Force. Like, how does this help us? I mean, something's seriously wrong. Something's seriously wrong. And that's what Captain Marvel is. And you see that with so many other films. We had 1,800, because of a FOIA request, we knew over 1,800 films. 1,800 films that have been manipulated, that have been created, coerced, forced, you name it, whatever you want to call it. 1,800 films that this whole Captain Marvel thing has. I mean, the whole Hollywood military-industrial complex collusion. I remember watching Battle LA, and it was like a giant Marine recruiting video. I was like, oh, cool. This is like space invaders, and it's like, fighting off aliens. Nope, turned out to be a ginormous, and I do mean a ginormous, Marine recruitment propaganda piece. Because the empire of perpetual debt and perpetual war needs a constant supply of meat to be thrown into the grinder. And that meat happens to be our talented men and women. That meat happens to be our youth. I would love for our nation's military to be defensive in nature, that we have the biggest, baddest military with the most amazing hardware. But to have that all internally, the military budget will be cut by 80%. I kid you not. If we had a purely defensive role, but we don't have a purely defensive role, do we? We have over 900 some odd military bases in 130 some odd countries. That, my friend, is the definition of an empire. That is not a republic. We have television shows, movies, music, comic books. I mean, you name it. Everything you got in terms of media that is promoting this constant war. And when you have the empire of perpetual war and perpetual debt, you don't ever want to market yourself as losing. No. You would always market yourself, and you carefully market yourself as invincible, that nothing can stop you. You're the greatest fighting force since the advent of the human race. None of which is true. You'd market yourself saying that you make the best, greatest hardware in the world. We are marketers, and what was once relegated to the military-industrial complex, create marketing the greatest boondongles ever. It is now also permeated to the civilian section. What do I mean by that? Look at Boeing. Look at the 737, a plane that was first flew in 1968. The damn plane is older than most of its pilots. I'm talking about the airframe itself. I'm talking about that family, that genus of aircraft. And of course, the 737 has been updated. There have been newer models made with newer materials, more space age and whatnot. And that brings us to the 737 MAX, which has a major design flaw. That design flaw is because they had to make it more fuel efficient than the 737. Rather than saying, hey, you know what? This airframe, this model has come to the end of its life cycle. It can no longer be fuel efficient. And it needs to be dialed back. It needs to be scuttled. It needs to be limited in what it can do. Kind of like what they've done with the McDonnell Douglas SP-80s, which was, I think, been bought out by Boeing. Yeah, Boeing Super 80s, right? The Super 80, the twin jet, with the Super 80s, right? It should have been like that. It's an older plane. It's not as fuel efficient, but it serves a purpose. 737s can still fly its hubs until they come out with something new. No, rather than having a whole new aircraft, really a whole new aircraft, what they've did is develop and build off an existing frame and then move the engines in a way where it's higher and further forward, upsetting the aerodynamic balance of the aircraft, affecting its angle of attack, where it has to utilize a new type of software technology, a new type of fly-by-wire automated technology that allows the pilot to deal with that aerodynamic imbalance. And which we've seen with two crashes between Lion Air and the Ethiopian Airlines. But it was marketed as the greatest. We are great at marketing crap. F-35, great at marketing crap. 737 MAX, great at marketing crap. It's a problem. So, but you have to understand the propaganda, folks, is so vital. The propaganda is so important. The propaganda, the mythos, the marketing is the most vital thing that people have to believe that we make the best, greatest things in the world. That we're undefeatable. We are, the best there is, so on and so forth. Which brings us to my next topic. The stock market party. Folks, the stock market party has nothing to do with reality. I'll repeat that again. The stock market party has nothing to do with the actual reality of the physical economy. You could have a physical economy. I mean, technically, you could have a physical economy with 90% unemployment. You could have an economy with that's in shambles. And if there's a way to jigger it, these guys would find a way to make sure that Dow stays above 20,000. Think about this. Stocks have its longest winning streak since October 2017. The longest winning streak. Defying all calls for a reversal to the extended stock rally, U.S. equity futures continues to climb overnight ahead of tomorrow's either dovish or extremely dovish FOMC. Rising alongside European stocks on Tuesday, which snapped up higher following a subdued session for Asian stocks as Stocks 50 printed 2019 highs while the DAX stalled just shy of 200 EMA. As a result, global shares enjoyed their longest winning streak since October 2017, ahead of the Federal Reserve meeting, while the pound jumped as algos brought the British currency after another dramatic twist in the Brexit plot blustered bets on a lengthy delay into the process. I mean, think about that for a second. Stocks are on a trend. Why? Because you need to believe. Folks, let me explain something to you. I don't think some of you get this. It is important for you to believe in Wall Street just as much as it is important for you to believe in Captain Marvel. It is important for you to believe in Wall Street just as much as it is important for you to believe in Captain Marvel. Both of it is fantasy. Both of it is manipulated. Both of it is propaganda. Both of it has no bearing in reality. Both of it are a fanciful story, a narrative told to bolster the idea of what? The invincible, exceptional nation. Because if you believe that you're living in the invincible, exceptional nation, then you will give your most valuable treasure away. And what is that? Your children. You don't lose your kids, folks. You give them up. You give them up into the meat grinder of public schools and public education. You give them up to the meat grinder of college institutions. You give them up to the meat grinder of banks. You give them up to every single institution in the empire that is designed to propagandize, brainwash, cajole, conform, and enslave. Propagandize, cajole, conform, and enslave. Every single institution from the time the child is in preschool to the time they graduate college, you have an indoctrinated worker bee. You don't have a free thinker. And then you wonder how it all went so wrong. Then you wonder why your son grows up to be gay and your daughter wants to play football. Then you wonder why. You see, all of us, and I was having this talk yesterday over the phone with Sean from SGT. Had a nice little talk. And it's amazing to me, and one of the things that we're discussing is how amazing it is that SGT Report, X22 Report, myself, we can go on other platforms. We can go on BitChute and DTube, and we can go on Steemit. We can go on all these platforms. I get 2,000, 3,000, sometimes 40,000 views on a video here. Sean will get hundreds of thousands of views on a video here on YouTube. Then when we go to BitChute, I'll get like 10 people watching something. You all, and this is the problem in alt media right now. This is the biggest problem right now in those who seek actual truth. You all, and we as Americans, love to bitch about the problems. We love to bitch about YouTube, bitch about Facebook, bitch about Twitter, but none of y'all will leave. Even when those whom you follow leave and go to the other place, none of y'all come along. That is the insanity here, folks. That is the insanity. Wall Street is as integral to the propaganda of perpetual debt as Captain Marvel is to the propaganda of perpetual war. Both of these things are required by the empire in order to exist. We're living in La La Land. We're living in La La Land. Brings us to the next thing, Huawei. Folks, when you look about Huawei, if Huawei is, oh my God, you can't trust the Chinese, you can't trust Huawei, it's backdoors to the Chinese government. Why is UK? Why is Germany? Why is India? Why is Russia? Why is pretty much the whole damn world resistant? They're all resisting the U.S. pressure to ban Huawei. Why is that? Because Huawei knew when they made their 5G technology, one of the biggest things and the requirements was to prevent backdoors. And who has the biggest access to all these backdoors? Well, it's none other than the good old US of A. The good old US of A. Prism on the wall, said the Huawei CEO over during Mobile World Congress in Spain 2 weeks ago. Prism on the wall. Who's the most trustworthy of them all? And Prism is the U.S. government's spying operation. And American officials have tried very hard to pressure and scold, cajole, browbeat nations of the world who are in cahoots with Huawei, trying to roll out the fifth generation 5G wireless technology. And folks, look, they have 5G in some parts of the world. There's 5G in Hong Kong, there's 5G in Beijing, 5G networks in certain countries throughout the world. Nobody's getting fried, nobody's having mind control, nobody's developing like cauliflower tumors off the side of their head. None of that's happening. Just like I told you, the same crap that they were talking about 3G, 2G, 3G, 4G, the same stuff now they're talking about 5G. The same fear and paranoia. You don't understand how it does to the beta waves and blah, 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 blah. You're fine. You're still here, aren't you? So the U.S. is interesting. If the NSA wants to modify routers or switches in order to eavesdrop, a Chinese company will be unlikely to cooperate. This is one of the reasons why the NSA hacked into Huawei servers. Many of our targets communicate over Huawei-produced products. A 2010 NSA document states, we want to make sure that we know how to exploit these products. On March the 6th, the Financial Times reported Huawei's lawsuit accuses U.S. of unconstitutional equipment ban. U.S. is behind, fears it cannot manipulate Huawei. And that's what the fear is. It's not the fear of Chinese spying, but rather that Huawei will make U.S. spying more difficult. I mean, you see, this is what, and I love the comment on yesterday's video where a commentator said, you know what, if they would just admit to us that we're the bad guys. And that's the whole entire thing. I would appreciate if the government came out and said, hey, you know what? We are the biggest douchebags on planet Earth. We are the worst empire ever to have existed. That the only reason we're going after Huawei is because we can't, we wiretap everything, we surveil everything, you have no freedoms, your whole constitution thing is a bullshit. Just come out and tell us, man. No, but they're sneaky about it. They are tyrants that come parading towards you, wrapped up in this gown called liberty and freedom and constitution, and they're none of the sort. They're tyrants. They're monsters. I wish they would come out and say, hey, listen, we really don't care about Huawei. The only reason why we're making a big stink about them is because we have no way of hacking Huawei's equipment. So what does that tell you, folks? If you haven't done so already, go get yourself a Huawei Mate 20 Pro. Amazing, amazing phone. I just switched over from Verizon to T-Mobile. Love T-Mobile service now, dude. It's amazing. I got the new OnePlus 6T. I downloaded the Pixel 3 camera app. It's a killer phone. On-screen fingerprint display, blazing speed. It's a Chinese manufacturer, and if you watch videos of how OnePlus constructs their phones, it's amazing. Same thing with Huawei. Huawei makes amazing devices. Amazing. U.S. can't hack it. And it's not surprising in the least that the U.S. has conjured up fantasies that are roughly 180 degrees opposite of the view it presents in its bullying efforts. The Patriot Act has nothing to do with Patriots. It has to do about enslaving you. Despite demands of evidence by China, Germany, the UK, India, and every other country on the planet that China poses a risk, the U.S. has not shared not one single shred of evidence. This is exactly what I said last time, folks. Not one single shred of evidence. The empire cannot stand competition. The empire cannot stand the fact that it no longer has control. The empire cannot stand the fact that it's dying on a global stage, and it's going to do everything in its power to make sure that its citizens are in some sort of a glamored, spellbound stupor. Some sort of a glamored, spellbound stupor. That's what this whole thing's about. Later on today, I will be with CJ over on the Gadfly. If you haven't joined the Gadfly, folks, I suggest you do that. And we also, later on today, we have Harley Schlanger on YouTube. So keep posted for that. And keep it locked here. Subscribe, like, comment, and share our sub counts, view counts, and everything I'm getting messed with and screwed with. It will go a long way. If you haven't subbed, please sub already. Or if you subbed and then you got unsubbed magically, which happens for some strange reason, sub again. Tell your friends, family to tune it over here. Every little bit helps. And with that being said, I'm over now.